President Biden has confirmed that he has cancer. Now, this is something that we're not taking lightly. This is not something that we are treating with any sort of disrespect. It's that aggressive prostate cancer that has spread into his bones, and that is not a good thing. It's something that is very sad. We tell your friends and family, pray for President Biden. But of course, also over the weekend, there was a lot of information that has come out as we are just a few days away from the release of Jake Tapper's book, of course, of all people. Jake Tapper's book, where it kind of reveals the cover-up that was going on about Biden's really his medical status, how he was doing either cognitively or now what it looks to be physically, and how that was a big cover-up. Now, of course, that opens up a lot of doors and a lot of questions here. And again, I've asked you to be respectful when we do talk about this, but we do have to at least address these elephants in the room, if you will, because you can't just pretend that this is not happening and that this isn't the state of modern politics. Because look, what likely would have happened right now, let's say President Biden had kept running, maybe he won. Let's say he beat President Trump. Now, I think that would be unlikely. But let's say in some world, in some version of this, he had won. You would likely have a President Harris right now. Because I have a feeling whatever kind of treatment that a over 80-year-old person going into, just being around it, knowing cancer, seeing it through family members and everything, this is not something that would have been, you'd be able to govern the country while going through this. So was that a plan? Was that part of this? There's a lot of conspiracies, but really we have to just look at the facts. Take the cancer part out of it. We still are now seeing all of these leaked audio tapes, things that are coming out that were just proving the point that everyone could see, but really they only started to deny, or they really only started to admit any of it after that debate performance.
Really, and then also after the loss to President Trump as well, is when people like Jake Tapper, who had covered for the state of the president for so long, and we even had that term cheap fake that got coined because you couldn't believe your lying eyes when you saw performances from the former president. And really, to me, it's kind of a sad day for our country as you look at what the diagnosis that was distributed yesterday, as well as what is coming out in that book tomorrow that's released, as they have kind of slow dripped some of the stories. It shows you really how cynical politics have become, that people are used as pawns for power, and even all the way up to the president of the United States. And that when you see medical experts have saying that there's no way that this diagnosis was just discovered this past week, at the stage it's at, knowing the type of care a president receives while in office, especially one that is one of the oldest presidents of all time, they would have discovered this much earlier, and yet they kept it from the public to maintain this illusion of strength and power instead of maybe figuring out a different path forward because they were afraid of the alternative of relinquishing power.
This is not speculation. If you have prostate cancer that is spread to the bone, then he's most certainly, you were saying, had it when he was president of the United States.
Oh, yeah. He did not develop it in the last 100, 200 days. He had it while he was president. He probably had it at the start of his presidency in 2021. Yes, that I don't think there's any disagreement about that.
There was an oncologist that was on Morning Joe, so not on conservative media, that was talking about that he likely knew about this or definitely had it even at the beginning of his presidency when he took office in 2021, based off of, as the oncologist was saying, the way that it grows, how long it takes, even the aggressive form of cancer here, for it to get to his bones would take a long time, not just a past 100, 200 days situation. But yet they released this announcement 2 days before this devastating book, which is titled Original Sin, President Biden's Decline, Its Cover-Up, and His Disastrous Choice to Run Again, that's coming out from Jake Tapper and Alex Thompson. We've obviously...
CNN's Jake Tapper.
Right, one who participated in that cover-up for years, saying that taking the White House talking points, everything is fine, these are cheap fakes, leave him alone, he's doing great, he's stronger than ever. And the fact that they would take the time now to announce this diagnosis, 2 days before the book is released is just more evidence of those people around him not protecting someone.
Of politics.
It takes the humanity out of someone and makes them only a political puppet, which has been the criticism from the right for a long time of that Joe Biden probably shouldn't be in this position. Yeah. And he is a political puppet that people around him are not giving him humanity by forcing this to continue.
At this point, making look, you can do whatever you want. It's your decision to make as a person what you want to share. I think that saying, hey, he had to tell the American people that he was suffering from this kind of aggressive cancer. Yeah, you're the president of the United States. It is different than I believe you do have now. I don't think he would have told anyone if he didn't want to. It's his personal business, his personal health business. No one needs to know that. That doesn't need to be announced. If you want to announce it, that's fine. If you want to tell people what's going on and rally people around you and hopefully get some prayers and support, great. No problem with that. I'm not saying that. But if it was something that was intentionally being hidden, even let's, again, take the cancer side out of it, because I really feel for that and I don't want that to be the case. But you talk about the people that are surrounding him. And when you hear things like this leaked tape with her, or you find out all this information, that the talking points that we were given were not only misleading, they were what we assumed they really were.
Right.
They were accurate because he said, look, I didn't bring up certain topics. He did. Dates were forgotten. All of these things were brought up and all of the proof was there. We had it there the whole time. Now, again, what really bothers me, like you said, Will, is the politics of all of this. I think there's a lot of people who have horrible people that surround them. People who are abusive, people that, and not just elder abuse. I'm talking about in general, in life, in the world, in politics, in business, in faith. You have a lot of opportunistic people who see power, who see strength, who see money, and will take advantage of a situation at hand, however they can. And I think that happens with a lot of people. And it happens a lot of times when people are suffering or dealing with something and they're intellectually smart people who have some real issues going on. And then surrounding them are people who are going to take advantage of those issues. That is my concern with President Biden. And that's why I say pray for him and pray for his family. And hopefully pray the people around him are good people. As you said, a few days before this book drops, when it was probably the number one story this weekend was those tapes, and that all of this was happening, and Jake Tapper's about to do this big expose, and then all of a sudden you even saw the talking points. I think a few people specifically said, hey, we need to make sure we calm down the rhetoric. He's sick. He's suffering. Let's not just ram it home and make it even worse for him. I get that, but that's precisely why it feels like a political move, not a real medical move, which is unfortunate, but sadly, it's kind of where we are in American politics.
And when you mentioned the special counsel Robert Hur tapes that Axios received late on Friday, I believe, they released the tapes, the actual audio tapes of that interview that special counsel Robert Hur conducted with President Biden over his removal of classified documents and not storing them properly. Remember, this is what President Trump had been charged with by the special counsel Jack Smith. And there was a special counsel appointed to see if there was going to be prosecution against the president regarding this. And it was the firestorm that came out of this when Robert Hur wrote a report saying, I'm declining charging him, because one of the decisions as a prosecutor you have to make is, can you get a conviction? And he even put aside all of the issues of trying to charge a sitting president and said, it is my feeling that a jury would see him as a well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory. And the left went crazy and they attacked him. Joe Biden attacked him and said, why would he bring up my dying son? Why would he do all these things? And in reality, when you heard those tapes, we got the transcript a while ago and you read it and it was shocking. And then I listened to the tapes and I actually didn't want to play them today because it was so much more devastating to hear it when you heard the audio. And you don't want to just continue to pound on this. We know what happened. We understand. The debate finally put it into all of the speculation. But in reality, you hear that, and it was things that would have been easily, even the rhetoric he used, if he's like, I don't remember, or things of that nature, it was him struggling to gather his thoughts.
It wasn't pleading the fifth kind of,
right.
I don't remember, I do not recall. It wasn't that. It was, like you said, a well-meaning, as he put,
right,
a well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory who couldn't really piece everything together and was running our country at that point.
First of all, I'm a cancer survivor, and I can tell you that prostate cancer in particular is something that you watch and can see it slowly progress. Joe Biden, as president of the United States, was supposed to be one of the people that was monitored, his health was monitored more than any other person. So we just have fundamental questions to ask of the last doctor that was at the White House. Did he do a PSA test? Does he know what the results were? Did he ask the President Biden about side effects? How long has Biden known? I don't believe that he just found out. 4 months ago, Joe Biden was the president of the United States. You are not going to be able to convince me that the medical team around him, which is supposed to be the best, somehow did not know that he had prostate cancer. This didn't just pop up in a late stage. And the reality is that we need answers. Why was everything so secretive? Why was it so hidden? And how did they control it? I mean, everything leaks from the federal government surrounding Republicans when they're in the White House. I don't understand how they control the system so much. And that's the scary part, Will. That is the scary part to me, is if they can control the system that the president of the United States has cancer and we're not going to release it because it's not the right timing, what else are they hiding? If they are that powerful and in cahoots with the media to the point where the media protect them and they can keep things completely away from public attention that should be part of the public's debate, I want to know what else is being hidden from us, because this is a very slippery slope and a very scary one.
We are so excited to announce the ACLJ's brand new app, completely redesigned to provide you with the best tools available to partner with us at the ACLJ. You can watch the daily Sekulow program, sign the petitions, customize your ACLJ membership experience, donate with the click of a button, and receive up-to-the-minute critical updates that the mainstream media can't censor. Just scan the QR code on your screen or go to your phone's app store, search ACLJ, and click install. It's that simple.